Hello and welcome to Record Rap, the Adventist Record News Podcast. It's Thursday, July 24. I'm Juliana Muniz.
And I'm Ashley Jankiewicz.
On this week's episode, we talk about more significant news for the South Pacific Division from the GC session, new associate officers, changes to the Executive Committee, and a message from the GC president. But first, Ashley, can you tell us what's making headlines this week?
A new initiative, the Bread and Better Life Café, has been launched in Burleson, Texas, as a center of influence within the community. Unlike a typical cafe, it includes multiple spaces for different purposes. In the social room, hot drinks, smoothies, and food can be purchased. The community room hosts well-being workshops on topics such as physical and emotional health and relationships. The Nook, a small room within the community room, provides a space for small groups as well as physical therapy. According to the Southwestern Union President Carlos Craig, Bread and Better Life Cafe's purpose goes beyond just sharing Adventist beliefs. It aims to serve and care for those in the community. In other news, an 18-year-long study has shown that owning a cat or dog can help you as you age by sustaining specific brain functions and slowing down cognitive decline. Improved brain function differed in some ways for each animal. Dogs were shown to help their owners retain their memory and provide emotional arousal, activating the prefrontal brain region. Cats, on the other hand, supported the interior frontal gyrus, which is connected to language processing, helping their owners maintain verbal fluency. Both animals also help with social stimulation. Interestingly, neither fish nor birds provide the same benefits, pointing potentially to the necessity of an emotional connection and a degree of stimulation only offered by a pet like a cat or dog.
Do you have any pets, Ashley?
I don't.
Did you have any pets growing up?
I did. I always had cats.
Really?
Yes, I love cats.
You're a cat person.
I'm a cat person. I've never even had a dog.
I never thought having a cat would bring any benefits just because they're not very emotional, I guess. But maybe being a cat lady isn't that bad after all. Now back to the South Pacific. The South Pacific Division has elected its first vice president. Pastor Maveni Kaufononga was chosen at a meeting of the SPD delegation at the General Conference session on July 11. The new role is designed to support the growing responsibilities of the division president. Pastor Kaufononga has been president of the Trans-Pacific Union Mission since 2015, where he previously served as secretary, youth ministries director, and special assistant to the president. Originally from Tonga, he has ministered across the Pacific, including in the Cook Islands, where his wife Annie is from, and as a university chaplain in Fiji. SPD Ministerial and Field Secretary Dr. Darius Jankiewicz said Pastor Kaufononga brings experience and knowledge to the new role.
I have known Pastor Maveni for over 20 years, and I've known him as an excellent leader in Trans-Pacific Union Mission. He's incredibly experienced and knowledgeable about South Pacific Division, and I believe he'll bring new strength into the South Pacific Division office, assisting the president and the other officers in the work of evangelism and administration across the South Pacific Division.
Also elected was David Potter, who will serve as Associate Secretary of the division. Mr. Potter was most recently General Manager of the SPD People Services and brings a wealth of experience in governance, compliance, and organizational development. As part of his new role, he will oversee key operational aspects of the SPD Secretariat. Hope Channel South Pacific Director Pastor Wayne Boehm, who was part of the delegation at the GC session, said Mr. Potter brings long-time experience and church policy understanding.
David is a great operator, great history, long history, knowledge and understanding of the church, good understanding of church policy, good understanding of process and procedure. So there'll be certainly some strengths that David will bring into that secretariat.
Mr. Potter has worked across various levels of the church in the South Pacific with a focus on strategic planning and human resources. He's married to Lenore and they have 2 adult children. A new executive committee for the South Pacific Division has been voted in by the SPD delegates at the General Conference session, and it marks a significant shift that reflects the growth of the Papua New Guinea Union Mission. The new committee, which will serve for the 2025-2030 quinquennium, includes 5 additional representatives from PNG increasing their number from 14 to 19. I spoke with Adventist Media CEO Dr. Brad Kemp, a member of the SPD Executive Committee, to understand what exactly is this committee which guides the work of the division. Here's what he said.
So, Juliana, the division at the General Conference has the responsibility of appointing the new Executive Committee, which is the governing body for the church across the South Pacific. And it's made up of roughly 80 people from representatives from across the division, and it's usually based on a formula which is in the division policy book. So depending on the size of an area will determine how many members it gets sitting on the executive. The other people who sit on the division executive are your leadership, so your union presidents are all members of the executive, institutional heads like myself are a member of the executive, and then some departmental people as well. So overall you get a fairly broad representation of the church representing various different aspects of what the church does. Now this year, because the church in Papua New Guinea has grown so much, their quota has increased, and so they get some more members. So they've added, I think, 4 or 5 new members.
Just in the last quinquennium, more than 300,000 people joined the church in Papua New Guinea. The growth is a direct result of years of preparation through Bible study groups and the massive PNG for Christ campaign.
And because the church is a representative democracy, that's how it works. Depending on your size will determine the representation you get.
The General Conference has also allocated the SPD another person to be on the GC Executive Committee. The SPD voted to give this role to PNG Georgina Puongo, the head of science at Kambubu Adventist Secondary School, will be the new additional GC executive member. This gives PNG the strongest representation of any SPD union on the GC executive.
So that's a unique opportunity for them, and I guess it's recognition of the growth of the church in that part of the world.
The South Pacific is already on the radar of newly elected General Conference President Pastor Ayrton Kohler. In a recorded message to the SPD church family, Pastor Kohler confirmed he will visit the region next year for the launch of SPD for Christ.
Dear brothers and sisters from South Pacific Division, this is a message just to thank you for your commitment to the Lord, to the church, to the Bible, and especially to the mission. I know that South Pacific Division is on fire for mission, and I'm planning to visit you next year to celebrate the launching of South Pacific for Christ, where the entire division, year by year, will be involved in evangelism. May God bless all of you. I ask your prayers for me, for my family, and for the church, because we are together preparing this world and the South Pacific to the second coming of Jesus.
SPD President Pastor Glenn Townend said Pastor Kohler has agreed to be a plenary speaker for the launch event, which will take place at the church campground Watson Park in Brisbane from April 28 to May 3, 2026. More information and registration details will be released in the coming months. And that wraps up this week's episode of Record Rep. Thank you for tuning in.
Don't forget to visit our website at record.adventistchurch.com and follow us on social media for more updates and stories. You can also receive news straight to your inbox by subscribing to our weekly e-newsletter.
We'll be back next week with more news from around the South Pacific Division. See you then.
This is an Adventist Media podcast.